The Heavenly Demon. Can't Live a Normal Life. By Sanchin. Chapter 244. Deadly Kill. Part 4. The disappearance of mages wasn't just a problem in Phoenix. At first, people didn't pay much attention to the disappearance of the Phoenix Magic Tower, but as more mages began to vanish, the relevance of the incident began to get talked about. And that was years ago. Although it was certain that the disappearance was not an accident, there was no clear evidence to support it. However, the shadow here looked like the Magic Tower Master. Roman Dmitri carefully looked at the dead corpse and once again confirmed that this man was the one whom Felix spoke about. The burn mark that covers half his face can be evidence. In addition, the magic used by the shadows was similar to the magic of Phoenix too. They used dark magic while using flames at the same time. That was why he was able to confirm that this person had an affinity for fire. He must have tried to win with all the power he had. So the question was, how did the Magic Tower Master become a shadow? He suddenly disappeared without a trace, and there wasn't any connection with the Kronos Empire. A reasonable suspicion was that he had been forced through black magic. There were also beings who used similar sorcery in Murim, and they all seemed to have lost their sense of reasoning. This felt ominous. At the very least, it seemed that the Phoenix Tower Master whom Roman dealt with had lost all his thoughts and reasoning. Black magic is something I cannot comprehend yet. So there might be some methods of forcing obedience that I am not aware of. Chris. Yes. Record the faces of the corpses through the magic image. Later, we will verify their identities. Did the Kronos Empire really force their control onto the magicians using black magic? If that is true, then this matter needs to be formally addressed in the international community and raised as a concern. Even the Kronos Empire cannot avoid taking responsibility for such action. Chris looked angry. Black magic and forbidden arts. The fact that the enemy touched a power that betrays the humans was something that he was furious about. Roman said. The truth isn't the important thing now. Whether Kronos forced them or they did it themselves, the important fact is that the Kronos Empire revealed the existence of warlocks despite knowing that there was a chance of being discovered. No, the existence of these people and the Shadows troops active in Kronos has been constantly talked about. The fact that these warlocks are one of them. If people who denied reality wanted to confirm them, they could have found out about it too. Kronos was becoming bolder. Kronos wasn't hiding their ambition, and even now, they were openly displaying the warlocks, invaded the lands of Valhalla, and fought with the people of Cairo. The horrid deeds of those with power were amazing. Rather, they might even want the truth to be the signal for a new war. People couldn't face the truth, and everyone would watch the continent collapse with their own eyes. Their ambition to conquer the land would not take much time from now on. There had already been signs of it happening all over the continent, and there had been clear evidence that the Kronos Empire's desires would explode one day. It was interesting. If Roman was a being who lived on common sense, the moment he first strayed from Kronos' eyes, he would have died without being able to see the truth. Organize the troops. 1 hour later. We will head to the trading city. They were still from Dmitri, and Kronos would not give up this wonderful opportunity to kill Roman Dmitri. It was a race against time. They had to get to the trading city as quickly as possible, but Roman Dmitri wasn't in a hurry. When they would arrive, safety would be their top priority. They were forced to move and were attacked by Kronos right before they reached the place, and Dmitri's troops would have no choice but to deal with them. So they took a few breaks on their way. They would stop by a nearby city to secure supplies, and if needed, they would spend an entire day there to relieve their fatigue from the march. That was the schedule. Meanwhile, Sanchez was lost in his own thoughts. During the battle against the Shadows, he felt so helpless. How could Dmitri's soldiers deal with the Shadows? Not all of them are stronger than the warriors of Valhalla. However, they showed that there was something different about them by being able to cut down the shadows that scattered like smoke. It must mean that they had some special technique. Then the battle ended. Rome and Dmitri said they could head back, but Sanchez and the other warriors couldn't. The pride of Valhalla was at stake. Even if they would die because of their choice, they hoped that their lives would be a stepping stone for Rome and Dmitri to return safely. That was why it was essential for them to deal with the shadows. If another battle broke out, he wanted to make the shadows his companions in the underworld at least. He hesitated for a while. Before long, Sanchez, who had made a decision, approached Rome and Dmitri. "Rome and Dmitri, please tell me how to deal with the shadows," he asked him directly. The chances that he would tell him were slim. Such matters were usually sensitive, and even if Rome and Dmitri said he wouldn't teach him, he couldn't just ask him. Conversely, it was a simple task. If he were Roman, passing down the secret was a matter that had to be seriously considered. So while asking, Sanchez showed an expression that recognized his request to be unreasonable. Rome and Dmitri said, "I get it. I will pass on the skills through Chris." "You will?" The warriors of Valhalla proved their determination by fighting the shadows. "You have the right to ask me for the skills." They were bold words, and this made Sanchez feel emotional. Valhalla did appreciate the dedication of the warriors. However, he didn't think that a person of another nation, who had been treated unfairly from the start, would acknowledge them. And so, they were taught during the march. At Rome and Dmitri's words, Chris took over the training, and Chris explained the principles of the technique to them. The principle of attacking the shadows is not that difficult. The shadows have two weaknesses. The first is to attack the gap when their body reforms. In the end, it is a way to attack by being aware of the fact that in order for them to exist physically, they would become vulnerable for a short time. And the second one is to see through the flow of their mana and sever the link between their bodies. It was a simple explanation. Dmitri's soldiers had been taught by Rome and Dmitri, and it didn't take long for them to master the art of feeling the flow of mana. It was included in their training process to begin with, and since it was a skill that could be called an extension of it, he made the skill his own through sufficient training. However, Sanchez and the warriors of Valhalla were different. Even after a few days, they couldn't get a sense of it, and rather, they showed a shocked look. "Are all the people of Dmitri geniuses in mana? I don't understand how the flow of mana can be figured out so easily." Sanchez's question made Chris realize something. What Rome and Dmitri had taught him, the things he had been taught in the past, and their value. He was sure of it. The Emperor of Valhalla wanted his allegiance, but the most ideal environment for him to grow as a swordsman was being taught by Rome and Dmitri until the end. Whether the opponent was Kronos or Valhalla, there wasn't any room for doubt. If Rome and Dmitri overcame them all, the world would call him the best sword on the continent. Valhalla was excited. When Rome and Dmitri stopped in a city on the way, the people of Valhalla rushed to pay their respects. "Ah! We greet Rome and Dmitri. I really respect you." The people were all excited. They filled the streets, and some even pretended to bow to the ground. To the people of Valhalla, Rome and Dmitri was no longer a stranger. The appearance of breaking through the plans of the Kronos Empire was reminiscent of a hero's life that once made the hearts of people burn hot. The people said, "Rome and Dmitri is a great warrior who will rise to the world of warriors one day." To see his steps. He proved his fighting spirit by defeating Barbossa even after taking poison. And even though the Kronos Empire openly tried to kill him, he didn't back down a single step. On the Salamander continent, there has never been anyone like Rome and Dmitri. He showed the pride a warrior should have and defeated two huge people. It was a story that the people of Valhalla longed for. He was one with the sword. Excluding every other social aspect, Rome and Dmitri proved his existence with force alone. In addition, coming from a small nation added more to the special hero effect. Unlike the Empire, even though he had no background for people to believe in, his force itself was amazing. Barbossa fell to his knees after just 7 attacks. Even though Kronos was trying to openly assassinate him, unlike in the past, they continued to fail in killing Roman Dmitri. It was a heroic move. As the events of the past were mentioned one by one, the people of Valhalla regarded Roman Dimitri's existence as special. On the road to the trading city, all the eyes and ears of the people were focused. The attacks of the shadows continued, and whenever battle broke out, Valhalla heard of their victory. Roman Dimitri won. This time, the troops of Kronos were killed by his sword. When 3 or 5 people gathered, they talked about Roman Dimitri without realizing time had passed. "We will guide you from here." It was a man who called himself Rodriguez. He was the leader of one of Valhalla's military troops, the Green Field, and he ranked 7th, just one step below Barbossa. This was good news. In order for them not to look bad to the people, Valhalla sent them, but Roman just had a cold look. "Let us keep out the pretense. I don't need your help. It is impossible for Kronos to run around like this in Valhalla without the permission of Valhalla." It seems like they sent out their troops on purpose because they were concerned about how people would see them, but since neither of us are stupid, take your cause and reason and retreat. As the rumors said, "You are quite bold." Rodriguez grinned. Barbossa's death was a great achievement, but there was no reason to fear Roman Dimitri in the land of Valhalla. "If you think this is a conspiracy of Valhalla, why would we take this risk? The public's opinion is already on Roman Dimitri's side. If you take a city and pass, Valhalla will eventually have no choice but to send Roman Dimitri to safety. This situation, it is something you brought to yourself. Why did you have to go and make things worse?" The more famous Roman Dimitri grew, the clearer it became for him to die. Then Roman Dimitri smiled at the blatant show of intentions. It was so similar. And he looked down at the opponent. "Your thought is wrong. You cannot kill me. Even if you call Kronos and attack me directly, that will not change. So do not waste time. No matter how desperate you are, my death will not be in the land of Valhalla." And at that moment, Rodriguez's expression went stiff. The force of the killing intent that rose around him made his body feel like it was being clenched. "As soon as I return to Dimitri, you will all pay for it. Therefore, if you want to kill me, do your best. If not, you will never get such a better chance." Roman Dimitri. It was confirmed that he was insane. In the land of Valhalla, when he was being attacked by Kronos, 2 big empires turned on him, but he gave his enemies more reasons to attack him. And this brought out his curiosity. In the coming days, would Roman Dimitri really be able to head back to Dimitri? Rodriguez was convinced that such a thing shouldn't happen. Chapter 245. Deadly Kill. Part 5. A few days later, contrary to expectations, the Kronos Empire didn't make any attacks on their way to the trading city. In addition, they had a place to stay for now. After ordering the soldiers to rest, Roman Dimitri checked whether the warp gate was working and felt a familiar sense of déjà vu. "I apologize, warping to Adelion isn't possible. As you know, Valhalla is on high alert as the shadows of the Kronos Empire invaded the borders. In order to prevent them from escaping through the warp gate, warping to other nations has been prohibited entirely, and if you are heading to Dimitri, the only way is to move to a city near Paolo and move on foot." "Not possible?" Roman assessed Valhalla's intentions. "Is this what they will do?" After the conversation with Rodriguez, he grabbed his horse by the reins and said something questionable. "Roman Dimitri. The only way for you to survive in Valhalla is to fully cooperate with Valhalla and give us the justification to protect you. If you are being protected by the imperial family, then even we wouldn't like you to die. But I am sorry to hear that you do not want us to accompany you. Please try your best until the end. We will meet again soon." Recently, people's criticism of the Valhalla imperial family has been fierce. The fact that they were being accompanied by the troops led by Rodriguez toward the trading city was to prove that Valhalla worked hard to protect Roman Dimitri. At the same time, they would have known that nothing would happen. Even if they arrived at the trading city, it was impossible for them to move until Dimitri, and as for Kronos, attacking them outside the border was more than enough. The only way that Rodriguez told him was a joke, in a sense. What Valhalla was looking for wasn't just a simple acceptance of being allies but a request for him to fully surrender to Valhalla. So there was no other way. The Warp Gate leader smiled just like he did in Marin. "Do you still want to use the Warp Gate?" Sanchez said. "This is clearly a trap." Tomorrow, after taking enough rest, they decided to use the Warp Gate. At the mention of crossing Valhalla on foot, Sanchez felt like everything was going wrong. There have been many things that have happened in Valhalla, but after crossing the borders, anything can happen, and even Valhalla can directly attack Roman Dmitri. Deaths will happen, there will be no witnesses, and no one can be held responsible, whether it is Kronos or Hector. Their intention was clear. Outside the border was a land of death. The reason why Valhalla stopped the warps to another nation, even if it meant taking huge financial losses, was not to let Roman go back alive. They abandoned the public's opinion. As for what happens outside the borders, the information can be intercepted by the imperial family if they want to. And Roman Dmitri said, "I know. The moment I leave the border, Kronos and Valhalla will both work together to kill me. Even if they do not seek perfect cooperation, right now, they have a common goal." "And you will still cross the border?" "Yes." It was a firm answer that made Sanchez look at him. His heart was filled with frustration, but he couldn't solve Roman Dimitri's problem. It was hopeless. He was proud of being a Valhalla warrior, but right now, he was humbled. "Sanchez, if you go back to the history of Valhalla, there must have been some crossroads where the nation decided its own future before it turned this corrupt. At that time, Valhalla chose to compromise with reality. The decision-makers at the time might have thought of it as a single exception, but the comfort and enormous rewards that compromise that thought and its sweetness aren't forgettable. It has become corrupt, and the nation I experienced now has at least turned into something that cannot be called a nation of warriors." Roman Dmitri said. If one wanted to be the strongest, precedents were important. If one accepted the reality and gave in to the problem, they would not be able to overcome the many obstacles on their way to the top. And the comfort of compromise would come to mind every time. I am clearly aware that this is wrong. Kronos and Valhalla's enmity stems from a wrong cause, and compromising means surrendering to power. Which is why it is necessary for me to take a risk. To prove that there are those who won't back down in the face of the Empire's power. I am willing to take the risk now because I know what a single compromise will do to me. At that moment, Sanchez looked at Roman Dmitri. The reason that this man had spoken about was what any warrior of Valhalla would do. He was sure of it. Even if the warriors of Valhalla died, including him, Roman Dmitri had to be saved. "I will follow you. For Roman Dmitri, I will put my life on the line." "No. You will stay in Valhalla." "But..." "Sanchez. The moment you cross the border with me, you will become a witness to the shameful acts of Valhalla. Regardless of my survival, everyone related to you will be destroyed and disappear. It is a different matter from just walking with me. Valhalla's delayed response will end up being criticized, but what happens outside the borders will never be revealed inside." He had a picture of the future ahead, and he had to put Sanchez's existence to work. Remain in Valhalla and unite those who hold the pride of warriors. At the southern end of Valhalla, I heard that Duke Vieto, a once powerful man, had been living all alone. Convince him to stand with you against the strength of Valhalla. If Valhalla really makes the wrong choice, then a voice with the right power will set it on the right path. Sanchez's eyes burned. He would never forget this moment, the feeling of being helpless and not repeating the same thing. Then Roman Dmitri stepped back. "You do your task. What happens from now on is the responsibility of Dmitri." On the next day, Roman Dmitri and the soldiers left the border. The people of Valhalla came out and cheered, but the farther they walked away from the border, the number of people lessened because they also had their own lives. When about 10 days had already passed, there was no one else around Roman apart from his soldiers. It was then that beings were rushing at them from afar, raising dust. Weak. Heeing. At the forefront, a man grabbed the reins of his horse. Appearing fully armed, he was Rodriguez, the leader of Green Field, who had recently met with Roman Dmitri. Roman Dmitri. It's been so long. After that, soldiers arrived. Just from one glance, thousands of soldiers could be seen, and the warriors looked quite menacing with their entire armor decorated. The green fields were active beings at the forefront. There was even a saying that if there were a problem in Valhalla, then they would be the ones who would stand up first. Dimitri's soldiers stopped. In the face of such a confrontation, without hiding his anger, Rodriguez said, "Didn't I tell you that we will soon meet? From the moment you accepted the invitation to Valhalla, no, from the moment the life of Count Denver was taken, a situation like this was bound to happen. The Valhalla Empire doesn't forget the grace that it has been shown. If you had sworn allegiance to Valhalla, you would have enjoyed wealth and glory, but you showed hostility, so you cannot be allowed to live." Hostility was rampant, and in this wilderness, no matter what happened, the people of Valhalla would not know about it. But Kronos, Valhalla. The ones who think they are strong tend to fall into an illusion. While staying at the top for so long, the illusion that they have the upper hand in any situation. A blind trust that they can always control what happens in the palm of their hand. Shoo! Roman Dmitri drew his sword. Likewise, Dimitri's men immediately reacted to the situation in a calm manner. "I was waiting." As those words fell, rumble. Grrng. The troops from both sides rushed at each other, not caring who came first. The stage of the festival. Watching the fight between Barbossa and Roman, Rodriguez's blood boiled. Roman Dmitri, at the age of just being in his 20s, showed skills that overwhelmed Barbossa. He admired him. The swordsman from a weak nation, whom they were not wary of at all, shocked everyone. Those who were on the spot of the top rankers, including Rodriguez, had the same thoughts. Each of them projected themselves as Barbossa. If they had dealt with Roman instead of Barbossa, would they have been able to withstand his destructive sword technique? Although Rodriguez was ranked 7th and lower than Barbossa, he thought that it might be different if it was him. As a pawn of power, Barbossa had been in charge of many confrontational challenges with benefits on the line. The more he went after merit, the more his abilities fell. In addition, apart from his reputation as the 12 swords of the continent, Rodriguez thought that he had a better chance. The middle of the battlefield was Rodriguez's world. In the violent situation, Rodriguez didn't look away from Roman Dmitri. Grrng. Rumble. He was truly a demon on the battlefield. Roman Dmitri took the lead, and even though the warriors of the green field raised their auras as they rushed toward him, he slaughtered them all at once. The difference in their numbers was overwhelming. Despite the Valhalla Empire's clear advantage, Roman Dmitri and his soldiers didn't show any signs of fear. It was truly an interesting sight. No further explanation was needed, the title of the nation's warrior fit him perfectly. The existence of Valhalla calls you a great warrior. If I can end such a life, it would be an honor. Valhalla's head, he ordered him not to overdo it. The distance between Valhalla and Dmitri was quite long. The plan was for Kronos and Valhalla to eat away at Roman Dmitri's forces one step at a time and then end him entirely. The warriors of Green Field were in charge of this right at the start of the battle. According to the plan, they would have to go through a light clash and then escape. But Rodriguez's fighting spirit couldn't stand it. Inside his head, he saw numerous possibilities. So after thinking a lot about how to defeat Roman Dmitri, he finally rushed to the battlefield. Rumble. Grrng. There was just one possibility. He thought of a way to defeat Roman Dmitri. The opponent didn't know his strength, but he saw Roman Dmitri fight. The Greenfield warriors would attack Roman Dmitri, and during the exchange of clashes, Roman Dmitri would have to show some gaps. Now. Flash. Aura exploded. Rodriguez's secret skill unfolded, and he cut the opponent's throat at a pace that the human eye couldn't see. But then. Tremble. His body trembled. He thought he had cut down Roman Dmitri, but then, he suddenly felt a burning pain in his neck. And when he looked, only then did he realize that his head had been cut off. Challenging what Barbossa couldn't even do was nothing more than arrogance on his part. Whack! Blood gushed out. The battle on the border. It marked the start of a bitter fight, with the death of Rodriguez as the catalyst. Chapter 246. Deadly Kill. Part 6. News of defeat arrived from the border. At the report from his subordinate, Marquis Belfer's expression changed. The Green Field troops led by Rodriguez suffered damage to the point of annihilation. As soon as the battle began, Rodriguez was killed by Roman Dimitri, and only a few men managed to survive. TSK. I told him not to push his luck. It was obvious what had happened. Contrary to their initial plan, Rodriguez must have attacked Roman Dimitri and given him a chance to kill him. The monster that defeated Barbossa with just 7 attacks. No matter how much Rodriguez was experienced in the front line, he shouldn't have lost his awareness of the opponent. Forget the results. Certainly, Roman Dimitri's move was absurd. And even if Rodriguez gave him a chance, his troops weren't so easy to defeat. Destroying the troops with just a handful of men, Roman Dimitri is such a scary character. He even has the bold judgment and the power to put it into practice. If a monster like that turned into Valhalla's enemy, we would be in trouble. Certainly, before he arrives at Dimitri, we need to put an end to him. Give an order to the troops on duty. This operation is a fight in our favor. Instead of pushing yourself like Rodriguez did, slowly bite away at the energy that Romans' troops have by using Kronos. Roman Dimitri is just one man. There will come a moment when he will reach his limit. I understand. He gave the order. Seeing the subordinate step back, Marquis Belfer felt a bit concerned, but he didn't think they would fail. However, reports piled up over time, and at some point, he had no choice but to lose his cool. Marquis Belfer. The ambush unit that attacked Roman Dimitri lost most of its men after being caught. According to the report of the survivors, once they entered the mountain, they couldn't shake off Roman Dimitri's pursuit. Kronos' forces were pushed back. In the process, the damage to Dimitri is close to nothing. The rankers of Valhalla were mobilized, but they couldn't stop Roman Dimitri. The plan failed again. The moment they faced Roman Dimitri, most of the leading troops were destroyed, so the situation isn't going as intended. The reports continued, and he felt dizzy. Even though he acknowledged the opponent, the results didn't change at all. Roman Dimitri. Are you really going to break through the border? Honestly, they believed that Roman Dimitri had an ulterior motive behind this plan. In a situation where Valhalla and Kronos openly declared their killing intent, crossing the border was like inviting death. So he had to be wary of the situation. He was convinced that the plan would succeed if Roman was wary of them, but no, every troop that crossed paths with Roman Dimitri was being annihilated. In this plan, they had received too much damage. Including Barbossa and Rodriguez, 6 people who were considered top rankers in Valhalla had died. It was difficult. If this was the case, it would be difficult to recover from the damage, even if they won. Roman Dimitri, such a scary person you are. In the fight with Barbossa, he didn't use much of his strength, and Dimitri's soldiers were beyond the normal level. The troops of the Kronos Empire aren't that strong. If we send him alive to Dimitri, it will be like putting wings on Dimitri, who already has a strong army. He acknowledged the opponent. Time was on Valhalla's side, but now the odds had to be in their favor. In the end, I need to see His Majesty, the Emperor, right now. Marquis Belfer, who had said that he would somehow handle things, gritted his teeth, feeling miserable. The report was delivered to the Emperor of Valhalla. Under his gaze, Marquis Belfer and Count Gomez couldn't lift their heads. That was the situation. Marquis Belfer and Count Gomez joined forces at the same time, and even though it had been 15 days since Roman Dimitri left the border, they weren't able to handle him. From now on, it wouldn't be strange if they were punished. to simply make the excuse that Roman Dmitri was strong and call this nation one of the two strong mountains was a shame. The Valhalla Emperor laughed. Roman Dmitri, what a funny one. Even knowing our intentions, he responded to the invitation, yet he refused to compromise and tried to return alive. The results of the ambushes make no sense. And if warriors like Rodriguez are dying, it must mean that there is no way to hold him down unless our best ranker steps out. That was right. Additional troops from Valhalla couldn't be sent. The people had eyes and ears, so if they mobilized a lot of troops, they would notice what was happening at the border. Kronos and Valhalla were different. It didn't matter if Kronos committed evil deeds openly, but Valhalla hadn't completely controlled the public's mind yet. The moment public sentiment burns, Valhalla falls into chaos. And perhaps Roman Dmitri was aiming for that. We can no longer lose the warriors of Valhalla. If it had been the Valhalla Empire that had led this incident, I would have diverted the people's eyes away and ordered Roman Dmitri to be killed. However, the subject of this case is the Kronos Empire, and that means that they are ultimately responsible for their defeat. Suddenly, he was curious. The Valhalla Emperor knew Kronos' intentions. Since Roman Dmitri had taken them down every time since the war with Cairo, they were fully prepared to achieve a certain result this time. But for Valhalla, that was about it. From now on, he wanted to see if Roman Dmitri would be able to block Kronos' plans completely. He was excited. The Emperor of Valhalla. Sometimes, rather than the interests of the empire, his own interests were more important. Let the troops divide slowly. From now on, we will see how the fight between Dmitri and Kronos goes. I accept your orders. Sure, Death. There was no change in that thought. If Roman Dmitri showed even the slightest opening, they would strike again. After 15 days, it was time to dry the blood. Even though they moved while taking some rest, Dmitri's soldiers couldn't hide their exhaustion. Die. Whack. As the sword drove into the opponent's heart, the shadow trembled and swung his dagger until the end, and the soldier rammed his body to knock the opponent down. Then he stabbed the sword like a crazy man. There were marks on his face that one couldn't tell if they were blood or past scars, and after resisting for a while, the shadow finally stopped. Hook. Hook. He felt out of breath. When he raised his head, the enemies they still had to deal with filled his vision. It was overwhelming. Even Dmitri's soldiers, who had gone through the worst training, reached their limit on the 15th day of the forced march, but they still clenched their teeth until the very end. It was something they were determined to do. They knew it was going to be tough, and above all else, they could see Roman Dmitri at the front going against the opponents. Grrrng. Rumble. It was a shocking sight. In each clash, Roman Dmitri faced the attacks of the enemies head-on, and thanks to that, most of the attacks were focused on Roman Dmitri. In the meantime, even though they had been through numerous battles with Roman Dmitri, the appearance of Roman Dmitri, who hadn't shaken even after 15 days, was shocking to them. So they held on because Roman Dmitri hadn't fallen yet. And they believed that if they followed him, they could return to Dmitri alive. Weak. Clench. Roman Dmitri cut the opponent's body. In an instant, he dug into the shadows and avoided all attacks from each direction with just a few simple steps. His presence was great. Whenever Roman Dmitri stepped on the ground, waves of mana would break the balance of the shadows, and the moment he swung his sword, the bodies of the enemies who were still alive were torn apart. One versus many, it was a familiar fight. Living as the heavenly demon, he didn't always have such advantageous fights. In situations of fatigue, starvation, and loss of concentration, the values of Roman Dmitri shined. The battle was one versus many, and the shadows continued to come. The sun went down, and the battle that continued all night was greeted by the rising sun. It was then. Flutter. Clack. Far away, a group of troops rushed in. At the thought of enemy reinforcements arriving, Dmitri's men clenched their teeth. They didn't give up, and Roman blocked the way. Staring at his broad back, Dimitri's men blindly believed that they could return alive, as always. However, their eyes widened. The flag that fluttered had the symbol of Hector. "Help Dimitri! Attack the enemies!" It was Edwin Hector. He was in the lead, and he commanded at the top of his voice using mana. "Fire field! Weak! Weak!" A fire broke out. It was a powerful flame that surrounded everything, and the shadows fell back. Their ability to disperse into smoke only worked against physical attacks, and they couldn't handle magic. And Roman Dimitri was being held back during the fights because of that. However, the presence of Hector's soldiers and Edwin Hector changed everything. Attack! Die! They counterattacked. Dimitri's soldiers clenched their swords, an aura exploded from Chris, who opened the way in front, and they rushed to cut down the shadows. Their bodies were at their limit. Even though their bodies were desperate for rest, they couldn't waste this perfect situation. Dimitri's soldiers, who had overcome so many obstacles until now, showed amazing mental strength. They slashed and cut their enemies. In response to the opponent's counterattack, they attacked relentlessly. They had to win. In the face of being pushed back one-sidedly, the shadows had to retreat now. This was a clear win. It was a battle in which the shadows of the Kronos Empire decided to leave because of the support from the Hector Kingdom. Unlike before, it was a battle that lasted all night. The Kronos Empire, which mobilized so many people to end Roman Dimitri, had to withdraw without getting any results. They won, and Dimitri's soldiers cheered. Their fatigue immediately vanished, and they raised their weapons and cheered. However, their joy was short-lived. Edwin Hector immediately got straight to the point with Roman. "You need to return to Dimitri right now. Dimitri has been attacked by Kronos' assassins." The space looked gloomy, and in the dark, a being asked, "What are you going to do if you fail to deal with Roman Dimitri again?" Roman Dimitri always goes the extra mile. Help from Valhalla and the shadow of Kronos. However, with the victory assured, Roman Dimitri might defeat them and return alive. During the events of the past, Roman Dimitri's actions were beyond common sense. To the question that was pointed out, the being on the other side said, "The reason Kronos is strong is because it is a huge empire. After all, Roman Dimitri is just from a small nation. Make it your top priority to mobilize Valhalla and eliminate Roman Dimitri. It will be done through one strategy that excludes all variables. The variable is Roman Dimitri. Without him, Dimitri wouldn't be safe from the attack of the empire." Their goals weren't just one. Roman Dimitri was Dimitri itself. Then the existence in the darkness smiled. Those who expose their teeth to Kronos will definitely pay the price. A few days ago, when Roman Dimitri crossed the border, Dimitri faced danger in the absence of Roman Dimitri.